this is Jeremy with Crush It Sales Automation. Anybody can hand their sales team the phone book or a huge database and just tell them to make 100 to 150 calls a day or whatever modern sales teams do. But what if I told you that there was a fairly easy modern way to give your outbound sales team engagement data that would focus their efforts, increase their closing times and their closing percentage drastically using automation and CRM notification information. This is actually something that we just built for our companies, and now we can clone it and modify it and go to market and offer it to other companies that we are interested in or interested in cooperating with on a contract basis. And I can kind of show you through how it works theoretically, and then I haven't seen any YouTube videos or any information online that actually walks you through the nuts and bolts of how these systems work and how it's actually built. So I'm going to show you through basically our workflow in Make.com, how the automations go out, and even the notifications that go out to our sales team when we get engagement data that meets our threshold for outbound sales effort. So let's get into it. So today we're talking about go-to-market strategies with intent-based sales lead scoring automation. It's a lot of words, but that is really what we're talking about where the rubber meets the road. So generally in our company, we build a list as fast as possible, usually 1,000 leads a day. We validate them. We build this huge total addressable market list. It automatically pushes into our CRM. We use Pipedrive currently. Then the information flows into our cold email system, which we use Instantly AI at this point. We start warming it up with a warm-up funnel sequence. The people who click on the links, reply, or open the emails are automatically pushed into our warm email system through an engagement automation using Make.com. I can show you that as well in a later video. And then warm email is just more dynamic. You can put pictures, you can put YouTube videos like this, you can do more educational, engaging content. So I really like warm email now versus cold email. Cold email is a little bit more clunky. It's hard to set up, but it serves its purpose for sure. Because you can put large lists into it without getting kicked out. Once it's in these systems, generally we're running a warm-up sequence of 4 to 5 emails that are educational based, inspirational based, and then maybe like every third or fourth email we'll have a ask for an appointment or a sales call or whatever. While we're running it through these funnels, we have attached, again using Make.com, to both our cold funnel and our warm funnel. We use Pipedrive for that currently. And we are using a webhook into Make.com for automation, where you can basically build modular automation using Make.com. We're tracking when people open the email, when they click on any links, or when they reply. And these are the basic things that seem to make sense to me, and even like the webhooks that come from Instantly, these are the things that they will actually push to a tracking mechanism like this. So the way that we've scored it, and it seemed to make sense to me, is obviously it would be great if people just replied and asked for a meeting or more information, and you just called them or emailed them back and set up an appointment, but not everybody does that. But I deem that a score of 10. So immediately call them back. That's kind of our threshold, is a max. When something adds up to 10 or greater, we have our sales team call them. So opening an email, which is fairly low engagement, but they're engaged nonetheless, is they get a point of 1. If they click on a link and actually look at the full article that I'm sending out to them, we give them a 3. And then if they reply, it's a 10. So any of this adding up to 10 points then pushes into our CRM, which we use Pipedrive, again through a Make.com automation sequence. Make actually adds it all up and then loads it into the CRM. And then once that engagement metric or number has reached 10 or higher, the CRM pushes an email notification directly to myself, my sales team, and my sales manager saying this person is engaged, their score is higher than 10, their phone number, email address, name, and any other data that we have on them, to make it as easy as possible for them to just instantly pick up the phone, give them a call, say, hey, it looks like you've been looking at a bunch of our different the content that we're pushing out. We're trying to actually include the link from the content so that they know which was the last post or email that they got that they were interested in, so we can reference that in the call to even make it easier to get into the sales conversation. And then email them as well if you don't get that. But I mean, instead of making, I even saw an Alex Hormozy post the other day where he said he's ramping up a new SaaS company and his minimum expectation is 200 calls a day, 6 days a week. And I've done that. I've made millions of sales calls and it works, but how long can you sustain that effort and not burn out and not be miserable and not retain top talent? When using some of these modern automation tools, you can now track the sales engagement and lead score, your cold funnel of ideal customer profile clients into a metric where, maybe it's not perfect, but it gives you a very good indication that these people in your list that are warming up are engaged enough to where it makes sense to focus your outbound sales team's time and effort and money to calling them in person and talking to them in real time to see if they'd be open to setting up a meeting, have any additional questions, would like to look at a white paper or whatever that looks like to get them to the table faster. And generally speaking, the metrics we looked at by, I forget what the source was, but it said that outbound sales teams that are provided sales intent and engagement data are usually can close deals 25 to 50% faster, and their close rate is 20 to 40% higher than if they're just smiling and dialing. And so we're it's a brave new world. I wouldn't have been doing this stuff a couple of years ago. It's only because I work so heavily with AI and have a business that happens to be in one of the most competitive markets in modern B2B, as far as I'm concerned, currently in the last 3 years, which is in freight and logistics, which is an absolute recessionary market right now. So I have forced myself to be able to market at scale and set up all this automation so that we have 140,000 ideal customer profile contacts in my email accounts that we are actively running through warm-up funnels and sending 2 to 3 emails a month with research content that I put together, case studies, inspirational stuff, and then just best practices and things that we think are. I'm basically teaching them how to do what we do for them a little bit and then if they don't want to do it themselves, they can call us and we can help them in both logistics. We're also doing that for Crush It Sales, obviously, with some of this stuff, but this is the way to where we're not guessing on our more costly outbound sales effort, because we're providing our reps engagement data and they know who to focus their effort on if they're going to make sales calls. So pretty excited. We're just going to market with it, and now we can literally clone. We can attach it to any CRM system and any email, both cold and warm, and then help you with the CRM notification system if you don't know how to do that. But it's clonable and easily modified. It's modular because it's in Make, which is awesome. So if this is something that you grapple with, I'd be happy to have a meeting with you, kind of walk you more intricately through our systems and show you kind of what we're doing, and then look at if it's a good solution for us to come in and architect it, build it, deploy it, and run it for you as part of our overall go-to-market strategy that compounds like a flywheel. So this is one piece of the puzzle, but sales, lead scoring, and intent-based marketing, I know, is something that's generally more for complex, bigger companies. Maybe you're all in HubSpot, but I think this is massive for small to medium-sized business, B2B sales, or software as a service businesses. So that's the general architecture of how the information flows, and then I'm going to walk you through actually the pieces of the software moving and the notification stuff going out, so that you're actually seeing what we built, which is pretty cool. I hadn't seen anybody else talking about this stuff. So if you'd like to set up a quick meeting and you're kind of frustrated by your overall focus of your outbound sales team, I can be reached at jeremy@crushitsalesautomation.com, or my phone number is 619-885-8188. I hope you're having an amazing week. I hope you love taking a look at these systems, modular systems that we just built for automating this process. And if you want to have a meeting, I'd be stoked to meet with you. So hope you're having a great week. Let's talk soon. Okay, so here's Jeremy from Crush It Sales Automation again. Here's where the rubber meets the road. So a lot of people talk about this in theory, or they have kind of infographics to talk about it, but I wanted to get granular and actually show you kind of the flow of information and how we set it up. So this is an example using our Instantly account, a cold email system, where we're loading 1,000 contacts a day into it to warm them up in that sequence. And then they also flow into Campaign Monitor, but I'm going to use Instantly today. So as you can see, we created a webhook in Instantly, which if it doesn't have full API integration, a webhook is the next best thing, depending on what kind of information you're passing. So we used a webhook for Crush It Sales. And so either a reply was received, an email link was clicked, or an email was opened. And those are generally the three things that we're pulling information from our cold email, ideal customer profile clients in the funnel, so that we can gauge their engagement and what is interesting them and tally that up to a score. We then take that information and we put it into system. It's a modular automation builder called make.com if you're not familiar with it, but I can literally show you here. The information comes into the webhook from the email system, which is either Instantly or we use Campaign Monitor. Here, I'll run it once. You see the information passing through, driving down the train, routing out. So it pulls either the email opens, links clicked, or replies into here. It pushes it through a tool that adds it up. It then pushes it into Pipedrive to match to search for that actual person in our CRM. It then routes them to, if they exist in the CRM, or if they don't exist, it dead ends because we don't have anything to add to from a lead engagement standpoint. I guess I could create a person. That might be an additional node that I could put in here. But generally, we already have all these people in our CRM because it automatically from our database, when we pull the lists, they automatically transfer into our Pipedrive CRM account. So they should exist. It passes to here. It gets the person's information. It adds it up, and then it updates the person's information on the person level, not the organization level, so that we know who the specific person within it. There might be multiple. Generally, we pull a you know, director of marketing, the owner, and the director of sales, or something like that. If it's using Crush It Sales, a peripheral of C-level clients, so that we're kind of hitting the biggest, the stakeholders who have the most sway in whether we start working with them or not. So we gauge that and then add up that score. Then let's go into the CRM. So we created an automation and Pipedrive lead scoring engagement call contact notification. It updates the person. If the score is 10 or greater than 10, it queries this to create an activity. The activity type is a call. It has a activity subject line, due date, immediately, time zone. I mean, these are all things you can kind of modify in your, you could do this a little bit differently in your CRM, but it's just the way that we chose to do it. It then updates the person's fields to yes, and then sends out an email notification to myself, my partner Daniele, and our sales team with a hot lead engagement score call now. And I can actually show you, and that's it. We could probably take it a step further and do it in increments of 10, so that, maybe they're still not going to buy, even though they're showing some pretty good engagement signals by opening a bunch of emails, clicking on links, or replying is obviously the easiest. But then we get, where is it? Let me get out of here. We then get an email kind of like this that comes through that says hot lead, engagement score greater than or equal to 10, call now. A contact just crossed the engagement threshold and needs immediate follow-up. The contact's name, the company, title if that's possible, email, phone number. Um, this was kind of a modeled one. I just pushed it through with a full, so it was definitely over just because we were testing the whole sequence. But these are now tallying and then automatically coming out, sending as people reach those thresholds. It has the person's record, so you can look it up directly by that in the CRM to make it quick and easy. And then obviously we're logging the email, and my reps are taking notes if they're doing calls. So that is the way that we are measuring engagement and intent. Obviously, it would be amazing if everybody just called you or emailed you and said, "Hey, I'm interested. Let's have a meeting. I want to sign up." But in hyper competitive B2B markets, it's a little bit more nuanced to that. So we're taking it a step further. And instead of just dialing for dollars and, you know, brute effort, we're trying to be more elegant and automated about this by tracking engagement, tallying it up, and then notifying my sales team so that their time is more better focused on the highest priority leads that we think we can close faster and quicker, um, and at a higher rate, obviously, not just quick. So that's kind of it. This can be modified and tweaked a little bit, but that's the basic framework, and I'm pretty excited about it. And so is my sales team. They're tired of just making 50 to 100 calls a day or knocking on doors or whatever they're doing. Now in lieu of anything else to do, we have these lists of, the warmest leads that are engaged for them to follow up on instantly so that they have, good conversations to be had. They can gauge the engagement and, make the most effort of their time. And hopefully it leads to faster closing and higher close percentages, which is great for everybody. So hope you like that. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to kind of walk you through it more granularly and kind of walk you through what it would cost for us to architect, develop, and deploy something like this and run it for you at scale, depending on what all services you want us to do, from list building to content creation to uh, engagement intent automation. So all pretty exciting services. I wish we had had all this when I was a rep back in the day. So hope you're having a great day, and let's talk soon.